Hey everyone, Joey here, and today we're going to look at an awesome new app on Android called CHDroid, and it lets you compress your ROMs without needing a PC. So, you've likely heard me talk about, or you've seen, some file types like CHD for disk-based systems like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, Dreamcast, Saturn, and so on. It is the best file type for those systems because it saves space, it is still lossless, and it makes one file instead of multiple bins and queues like PlayStation 1 has. How much space do you actually save? Well, it depends, but I like to give a 30% average. That means that if your SD card right now is full of 100 gigabytes of disk-based systems, you can get back about 30 gigabytes of it today. The problem usually was you needed a PC to do all of this, to convert your ISOs or your bins and queues to CHD, unless you specifically look for and downloaded CHDs off of the internet. But today, that's no longer a thing. An awesome developer has created an app on Android called CHDroid, and that will let us convert those files using Android only to CHD, and you don't need a PC for it. Let's take a look at how it works. On the Play Store, you can download the app. Again, it is called CHDroid, and then open it. During the setup, it is going to pop up with a whole bunch of information and a kind of tutorial, so it is good to pay attention. There is one thing that is important. It tells you that you need to know whether to use the Create DVD or Create CD function, because that is important for you to make sure that you are using the right conversion type for your ROMs. But you have me, and I can tell you what you need to use for each system, so don't worry your pretty little head about it. Once we skip through all of that, we can now finally add our ROMs for converting. Now, obviously this guide and showcase assumes that if you're going to follow today, you have some ROMs to convert. ISO, bin and queue, whatever. So the way it works is you click the bottom right plus icon and then find the folder that has the ROMs that you want to convert. Just for today, I put a whole bunch of different systems and games from those systems in one folder just to show you what it all looks like. But if I was you, I would choose one folder per system to make it easy. Now, if we click the Set Global Action for All Files button, we can set or see what to do. So let's say you have CHDs already and you want to go back to ISO. You can extract them back. But otherwise, you can see it is going to convert to CHD for Q files and any other files. And this is all great. We don't need to touch anything here. Now I'm going to remove all of the other games from this list except for Burnout Revenge on PlayStation 2. Then we'll go to the bottom and click Convert Files. This is where it's going to ask the conversion type. CD or DVD, and this is very important once again. For everything except PlayStation Portable games, use CD. For PSP games, use DVD. Simple, right? You then have the option of deleting the original ISO after converting, and this is up to you. I would probably leave this off and then delete them yourself afterwards. Now it's converting our PS2 ISOs to CHD. And normally, I would say you can see how much space is saved by looking at the ratio. But that number is actually wrong. It is a CHD man issue, so not the app's fault. When I go look at the two files, I see the original ISO was 3.40 gigabytes, and the new CHD is 1.78 gigabytes. That is pretty massive savings. 47.6% by my count, way above the 30% average that we talked about earlier. Let's head back, and this time we'll look at PSP next, and I'm going to use Crisis Core. Same thing here, except it's PSP, so I have to make sure to select DVD for type. Then click Start. Going to take a look now, and we have the original at 1.60 gigabytes, and the new CHD is 1.02 gigabytes. That is a nice 36% of savings there. Once again, I have been doing single games here just to show you, but you can just point CHDroid to a full folder of games and let it just continually run. It is just easier for me to film single games But if I was you, and I had a whole bunch of PS1 games in one folder, I would just point it to that and let it go. And so let's look at PlayStation 1 next. You can see here that we have Final Fantasy VII, and this has 3 discs. We only see the Q files, because that's what usually shows, but the bin files are also in the same folder, obviously, because you do need bins and Qs for them to work. So let's convert these. Now, instead of 6 files, bins and Qs for each disk, we have 3 files, and we have saved some space. Nice and easy. This all continues with Dreamcast using Skies of Arcadia Legends as an example here, and converting from Qs to CHD. I think you probably get the point now. If we go and check each game in their corresponding emulators, they all work. So the app is properly converting and everything is working perfectly. Now, there is one other function of the app that currently doesn't work that well, but we can talk about it, and it is the Manage Multi-Disc option at the top right. With multi-disc games, you can create a playlist with a file, and it is called an M3U. Let's look at some examples of my M3U files for PS1. Here is Chrono Cross. It is a multi-disc game, and you can see that my M3U file is here. Now, if I open this file, there is 2 lines, one for each location of each disc. So it is a path to the disc on each line. So this file is basically saying, hey, I am a playlist, and the actual games are located in the hidden folder, and these are their names. When we go look in the hidden folder, you can see them right there. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to set up M3U files. First, it helps in front ends, like Emulation Station, because instead of seeing 3 discs for something like Final Fantasy VII, you see 1 entry for Final Fantasy VII. Another is that in emulators, it is easier to change discs because M3U files keep them together. So, now that you've seen how it's supposed to look, let me show you how the app does it. First, we need to create a group name. This is the game name, so I put FF7, but you would normally want to write out Final Fantasy VII in most cases. Then you have to choose the discs that are in this playlist, so discs 1 to 3 for Final Fantasy VII. Click Generate at the bottom. If we go look at the folder now, you can see our ff7.m3u file generated, and if we open it, it shows the paths to the games, which are in the same folder. The main issue here is that if we opened Emulation Station and checked this folder, we're going to see 4 entries now instead of 1. And if we wanted to fix this, we would have to create a .hidden folder, put the games inside, then edit the M3U to add the .hidden/ to the front of each path, and then we can come back to Emulation Station after, and it is all fixed. Another option is you can just go to each game and click Hide this game in Emulation Station. So it does take some fixing if you want to use this program to handle the M3U part of multi-disc games. Personally, I would just use this program for converting the games because that's where this shines, and I do have a guide on how to set up M3U files alternatively, but you do have the option. I've showed you how it works either way. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro gaming. Support me through YouTube membership if you like my stuff. And hope you all have a good one.